Welcome back to Absolutely Marvel and DC. My name is Benny, that is Sal, and that is Dylan. And don't forget to join the Absolute Army by smashing that like button, hitting subscribe, and hitting that notification button after you watch the video and decide that we're all idiots and you want to watch more of it.
Yeah, how much? Fair. What's the percentage of hate watching?
Hate watchers, we love you. You keep these videos in the algorithm.
It's got to be 25%.
There's always someone that hates one of the hosts where they're like, I'm Benny. Oh, that's Sal. Oh,
yeah.
That's Dylan. Oh.
They just hate us all then. Okay.
Oh, yeah.
So to continue our drought of MCU shows and to continue checking out the other shows, this week we are looking at SpiderMan Unlimited. And I want to say one thing, and I don't know if you guys commented this on your Spider-Man 79 thing last week, because 81. I was unable to... 81? I thought it was 81, but someone told me it's 70s. Anyway, yeah. I was unable to be there. The only big comment I had for that one, and I'm so happy it's not in this one, that's why I want to bring it up again. Spider-Man 81, he literally narrated everything he did like it was an audio podcast.
That's true.
Yes. Yeah, it could be a radio play. It's great.
Oh no, I'm being held down by this iron-clawed tentacle. Yeah, we're seeing it, Spider-Man.
To be fair, Stan Lee also wrote dialogue like that.
Yeah,
so
that's
if
what I was
anything,
gonna
it's
say.
an homage.
Yeah, it's very true to form and very of its time. Spider-Man 81 is.
So watching Unlimited, there was a few times where he would say things like, oh, you guys have never done this before. I feel like I'm outgunned. Like,
right.
And it just made me think of that 81 episode where they were doing that all throughout.
Just all the time, just
yeah.
incessantly. Yeah, no. No, Unlimited is modern, comparatively. Like, we did a couple of jumps. Like, we missed the 90s cartoon, which everyone loves. So we're going to talk about this one, which...
We'll go back to that one, all right, Dylan? You're the one that comes up with the schedule. So are we going back to that one?
Next week, I think we're doing Iron Man 94. So
okay.
Maybe Spider-Man will show up. Who knows?
So you
just
have
show up in that show.
So you have no rhyme or reason to this. Got it.
Okay. No, I do. Well, to be fair, we had a lot more Spider-Man, but then things kept getting bumped. So I'm trying to keep it varied. Like, we're doing Iron Man, which people like Iron Man, and then we're doing an Avengers show after that. So like I'm trying to cover the gamut. Next time we have a drop, we'll do Spider-Man 90.
So stay tuned. Make sure to subscribe. You'll catch that episode.
Yeah. Exactly. So anyway, Spider-Man Unlimited. Before we go into this, I want to explain the history of this so we can describe this. So, because I did a What Happened to Spider-Man Unlimited on my channel, Comic Story, a long time ago. So what people don't realize is Spider-Man Unlimited was never supposed to happen.
Right.
Like,
and it shows.
Yeah. So Saban somehow acquired the rights to do a Spider-Man cartoon, but this is during Marvel's bankruptcy, and they sold the rights of Spider-Man to, I don't think it was Sony at the time, was it? It was somebody else.
It's claimed to be Sony. So I think, during that time, so Sony and Marvel made their deal to make the movie.
So the problem with that was, and I don't know if you're aware of this, Dylan, because of that deal with Sony, Saban wasn't allowed to use Spider-Man storylines, costumes, or characters. But they could make a show called Spider-Man. That was what they had the rights to.
Yep.
So that's why in the first episode he needs a new costume, a new planet, a new cast of characters. That's why like Green Goblin is like an anti-hero Mexican guy. I don't know what is going with that because I watched episodes 1 and the last one and I didn't see who he was under the mask. So
nice. I watched like some random Christmas episode. I've seen this show.
I saw it when I was a
episode.
kid.
Yeah, exactly. I've watched the show, but whoa.
So Dylan, you didn't have. Let's get your opinion because you didn't have the privilege of watching this show that was not supposed to happen when it came out, and you were a kid and like, whatever, it's Spider-Man.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair.
I will say
that's how I was as a kid.
I don't know if nothing has changed since then. Maybe I'm still a child. I kind of love this show.
Yeah, you know why? You know why? Because you like it because it's subversive. Because it's nothing.
It's ridiculous.
It's okay, ladies and gentlemen. Here's the premise of Spider-Man Unlimited. On the other side of the sun, there's another Earth. It's called Counter Earth. Basically, the premise is you can't get on the other side of the sun. We have no idea what's on the other side of the sun. What's on the other side of the sun? As it turns out, there's a mirror of our universe on the other side of the sun, and there's an Earth over there, and the High Evolutionary took over that Earth. The High Evolutionary, classic Spider-Man villain, and so he took over that Earth. John Jameson, astronaut, is going on a pilgrimage to go check it out. He gets stranded there. He sends a message back. I'm being attacked by animal people. Spider-Man gets on a rocket. So do Venom and Carnage, who are symbiotes.
But they have Eddie and Cletus.
Yeah, but they have them in there, but they're also goop monsters, and they're working together.
And you missed one key point.
Yeah.
Spider-Man is blamed for the death of Jameson until the message comes back.
Right.
So he's decided everyone on Earth hates him, and he's got to leave.
He's got to leave. He wants
within the span of 2 minutes, we flash forward like a week where Spider-Man's life basically falls apart entirely.
Yeah.
And he decides that he doesn't even decide he's going to have to go get a new costume. He just decides that he does now have a new costume made out of nanotech.
Yes. By the way, dope costume, and it lends itself to the urban legend that is that based on the success of Batman Beyond, Marvel wanted to make a Batman Beyond, so they made the Spider-Man 2099 cartoon, and then they retooled it to make it this. None of that's true. It's all bunk. It turns out they actually wanted to make a cartoon. Saban wanted to make a cartoon of like the first 26 issues of the first Spider-Man comics by like Stan Lee and Steve Ditko. And then, like you said, the Sony thing happened, and they were like, actually, you can use none of it. And they're like, oh, well, then we got to be creative now. What are we going to do?
Well, their first creative idea, and this is great because this came out in 1999.
Yes.
Was that they wanted to have they had the Counter-Earth idea, but on that Earth, Peter Parker was evil. He gave in to Venom.
Right.
And so the series is going to be Spider-Man versus evil Spider-Man.
Right.
And they were like, no, we don't want two Peter Parkers. That's too confusing. But in the comics at this time is the Clone Saga.
Oh, there's like 17 of them. Yes. So Spider-Man goes to Counter-Earth where he becomes an urban vigilante who helps the unfortunate in a war-torn Counter-Earth where nothing matters and there are cat people and ram men and other types of animals, rat people. The High Evolutionary experimented on all these people and made them into like animal hybrids, and it's a totalitarian state, and it's every like pseudo sci-fi, a post-apocalyptic future.
Sure.
Yeah, with animal
idea
people.
you've ever seen.
It's like Island of Dr. Monroe, basically.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, it is.
He makes a joke about that in I think the first or second episode.
Yeah, first episode. Yeah.
So the show is just all over the place, and I think what made it work for me as a kid was that it wasn't since I didn't know Spider-Man lore, they weren't doing anything wrong.
Yeah. No,
I just remember going, what happened to the other Spider-Man show? Oh, well.
Right. Well, and what's amazing is how they tie it in. Like, you saw the first episode. The first episode uses the theme from the 90s Spider-Man cartoon and the suit, and they're like, this is a continuation of the 90s show. No, it's not. It's all lies. Don't believe it.
No, it is. It's technically a continuation. You can't ignore it.
There's nothing satisfying about this show if you liked that cartoon. There's no way. Also, two completely different voice actors. I will say we should talk about this. The theme, I think it still slaps.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
The intro is pretty good. I like the song for this one. I did not like the voice actors in this, but I think it was more just 90s cartoon voice acting.
It's everyone that you
liked
know.
him.
Jennifer Hale's in
liked
it.
the Peter.
Yeah.
Did you?
Yeah. I thought he was fun.
I had no complaints about Peter. He was fine. I do miss Christopher Daniel Barnes, I think, who played 90s Spider-Man, but that's fine. He never gets the range that Barnes does.
I feel like, Sal, you're hating on this. Dylan, you loved it, and I'm kind of in the middle. Like, I'll watch it if it's on kind of a situation at this point, but...
no.
Oh, don't get me wrong. I don't think I'm ever going to watch any more of this show. But for the 3 episodes that I did watch, I had fun with it just because it was just stupid.
So different.
Like it's it
was
ridiculous and
it
dumb.
It is very stupid.
And it's unlimited. It's 90s. It's like, it's this weird Spider-Man show that I had no context for, to the point where like I'm sure a lot of people looking back on it now with absolutely no idea what it's about. I thought it was about Miguel O'Hara. I thought it was this weird experiment about him based because I saw the poster and nothing else. Yeah. And I was like, oh, okay, it's Peter. And he probably gets and I was like trying to guess where it was going. And he gets all...
Did you guess it at all?
I like half guessed it because the way that I thought they were going to go, which I think would have been better, was that Peter Parker just needs a new costume because everyone hates Spider-Man, and he's going to pretend that he's not Spider-Man for a while. But no, he's just immediately like, hey, this is Spider-Man and also Peter Parker, and we're going to Counter-Earth.
Yep.
Like,
what I loved about that, though, too, is when he ran into Nick Fury. And, like, there's a whole sequence where Nick Fury's talking to himself. And Peter Parker's
just shows
like,
up.
yeah, what's up? Yeah, you're right. I'm going. I got this. And he's like, yeah, if anyone could do it, it's Spider-Man. Bye. Like what?
That was so strange. Like that first episode is full of just so much like just we're not really gonna pull punches for some reason. Like, yeah, just Fury's gonna show up out of literally nowhere and just
no
like,
context
hey,
for him. I'm Nick Fury.
don't go.
Get used to it. Oh, okay. And Venom and Carnage. Oh no! Whoa! Venom and Carnage, and they're working together for some reason. And he's like, yeah, I don't know, I don't get it, but get used to it. And I'm like,
you need Bebop
okay.
and Rocksteady.
Yeah, they are Bebop and Rocksteady in the show because they're like crazy versions of themselves. And
so did you watch the first 3 or did you go to the last? Which ones did you guys watch?
I watched the first 3 because I was gonna skip around like I did with 81 last week, but I said this one has more of a narrative. The first 2 episodes are 1 episode basically.
Yeah.
And I was gonna watch 4 like I did last week, but I got distracted and didn't. But I think I've seen enough. There's only 13 episodes in the entire show, so
yes, forgivably, it's very short.
Well, Sal, what did you end up watching? Because I want to talk about the ending to the series, which makes it even funnier.
Thank you, because I haven't watched the ending. I watched like the first couple. I watched the episode. I watched like a Christmas special about Git, which was like what. And then I remember the episode with the Vulture, which reminded me of 2099, but it wasn't anyway.
So the show doesn't end,
right?
Like they didn't know that they knew they weren't getting a second season already, but they leave it on a cliffhanger where they free everyone, and the symbiotes or something grows out of the ground, and they're like, the spores are going to infect everyone,
oh, boy.
And they're like, what? That's the ending?
Yeah,
because as a kid, I remember I must be misremembering this. But I could have sworn they got home. Like, the show just ended in 13 episodes. Everyone was safe, and it was over.
Right.
So getting to the ending of this one, I'm waiting for, like, all right, everyone on the ship, we're going back. like they're like, and, oh, no, we're doomed. Credits. Like, what?
Yeah. I remember there being talk from the creators of this show who were like, if we got a second season, I promise you, we were going to go back to regular Earth and we were going to get back to basics and throw all this away. I'm like, you are so full of it. Like, no, you weren't. You legally were obliged to not do that.
Yeah, exactly. That's the problem with the show. They were legally not allowed to make a Spider-Man show.
Right.
It's almost like it's a problem in school. Okay, in marketing school. All right, Dylan, we're making a new cartoon. We want to use Spider-Man, but we're legally not allowed to. What do you do?
Right.
Literally
what do you
anything
do?
else.
And we have access to like random Marvel characters.
You know what? We're gonna go to the next closest thing in the alphabet here. Spider-Woman. Okay, what's her deal? Oh, the High Evolutionary. That's interesting. Let's go with that.
Let's grab that.
But women will never sell a cartoon, so it's still Spider-Man.
So it's still Peter
it's still
Parker.
gotta be Spider-Man.
Even though she did have a show for some reason.
She did. Have you seen that show? That was a 70s show.
That's
man.
on our
It's
list. That's
78 or
going to be on
something.
our list,
Yeah,
Dylan. There's
it
no
ain't
way
great, but the
you're
theme
going
is
to
awesome.
skip us.
Yeah.
There's no way you're skipping out on this show.
Oh no, I'm gonna watch it eventually, but
We will. It'll be a review show.
Yeah.
The
we'll
reason
have to
it's not
watch
on the
it.
schedule is because A, I don't want to be that guy who just puts his favorite character on the schedule, and B, who's gonna watch that? Do you guys want to see us watch Spider-Woman?
I've seen it. Like I
have too. It was.
I'm a nerd. I was like, oh, Spider anything. It exists. I'll watch it.
I'll take it.
But yeah, Unlimited. Do you have any actual favorite characters from this show that aren't Spider-Man?
I love that Green Goblin.
Okay.
What is his deal?
fun.
I don't remember him at all. So I don't. Okay, I want explain to me whoever has the information, because I don't remember him from being a kid. And I'm watching this last episode, and he comes in with this thick, like, Mexican accent, like, "Hey, Spider-Man, I'm here." I'm like, what is going on?
Yeah. He's in the opening credits, and you're like, oh.
It's Green Goblin. He must show up eventually. Poor Norman. Nope, I don't think that's Norman. Nope. Who is that?
No, I don't know.
I'm looking him up real quick.
Yeah,
They do
right.
this
I want
weird
him to
thing
come back.
In episode 3 is, I think, the episode he gets introduced in, and they do this like weird thing where they allude to the Sinister Six, but I don't think it
Yes.
was on purpose.
No, I don't think so either. Or
Because
maybe
Green
it was.
Goblin is there, and then the plot of the episode is that the doctor Naoko, who's
Yes.
is that a character? They just make her up.
I think they made her up.
That seems correct.
See, I didn't see the episode he got introduced to, so I literally just have him coming in and he literally is like, Spider-Man, I'm here! Like, what the hell?
Yeah, let's do this.
Naoko gets kidnapped by this like tentacle monster, this green tentacle monster, and then I'm like, and then Green Goblin gets introduced, and then like there's like a lackey of someone, I think it's a lackey of Venom and Carnage that is just a Rhino Man. So you're like, oh, they're like building to some weird Sinister Six, but then by the end of the episode, you realize that the sludge is like some weird thing of Counter-Earth that's been there for centuries, and it's part of Venom and Carnage's plan, and Rhino is just a guy.
Not related.
No, not related at all.
Yeah.
And Green Goblin's a good guy, so.
Yeah, well, and he was in the comics for a minute, so.
Green Goblin, I remember that. He had his own book where he was a superhero.
He had his own book.
It began the Marvel tendency of turning every villain that people liked into a comic and making them a hero.
Oh, people didn't like him. They just did it anyway. That was Phil Urich. Anyway.
Oh, yeah. Anyway,
Right.
So this was Hector Jones, which I just want to state. It was like the 90s version of a Mexican accent where it's like borderline like stereotype
He's
racism.
Just being Cheech Marin.
Yeah, he was being Cheech Marin. It was Cheech. Like Cheech and Chong are your Green Goblins.
Right.
Like,
right.
So he is Hector Jones, and he was a hero instead of a villain, but he mistook Spider-Man for a villain. Instead of a glider, he wields a backpack that sprouts wings.
Yep.
And when he finds out that both Spider-Man and Peter Parker are the same, and he learns that Spider-Man is from the original Earth, and his intentions on Counter-Earth are to rescue John Jameson. Since Jameson, who is working with the rebels against High Revolutionary, does not agree to come, he lets Spider-Man go off on his own, and the Goblin decides to help by getting a ship that the High Evolutionary has, which was originally Spider-Man's Solaris 2. I saw that part. So anyway, yes, there's also an X-51 character, and this is actually before X-21 or X-23 was made. So they just had a very similar name for a character in the Rebellion in the show.
So speaking of things that like weren't done yet, I don't know if this is true, but is this the first time that they mess up the "with great power must also come great responsibility" line? Because in the first episode,
I thought that was the first show.
And
no, I think that was the first show. Yeah.
Like the first ever Spider-Man show?
Like,
because
he says it a lot.
I don't remember I don't think he said it in the 81 episodes I watched. And this was the first time that like, because they say it a lot in like Spider-Man media, and they always say in the media, usually they say with great power comes great responsibility. And I always thought that was the movie, the Tobey Maguire movie that messed it up. But this predates that.
No, I think so. I think in Spider-Man 66, he said he definitely says it in the pilot or in like the first adaptation. He says something like, "I know that with great power there must also come great responsibility." I think he says it that way.
Well, that's correct
in the first cartoon. Yeah, exactly.
So I'm
looking to
curious.
See the exact.
The
apparently
comics
the phrasing
also bastardized it.
Well, apparently the phrase is pre-Spider-Man. Like it was being used in the Bible.
I mean, that makes sense.
It's been used all the way up until Spider-Man, and now it's just kind of became known as Spider-Man's thing.
Right.
Yeah. I'm curious when it got like the Luke, I am your father of like, when was it messed up and you know the status quo of it changed, and now it's slightly being reverted because people are nerds.
Right. The original saying must also come great responsibility was 1962. That was the original first saying of that phrase.
Yep.
It doesn't say when it got bastardized and changed.
Yeah, I think they just kept I mean, like, they've modified it over the years, and I know that, in Raimi's Spider-Man, he says, with great power must come great responsibility, but just save some time. Keep it brief.
I feel like it doesn't make sense because it's like, it's implied when you say with great power comes great responsibility, it's like, oh, now you have a great responsibility, but it's like, it's just saying that you already have that. Like, must also come is like, it's on you. The impetus is on you to figure this out. Like, that makes more sense to me.
There's more nuance in the original phrase. I get the implication of the truncated version, because the shorter version is just like, if you with great power comes great responsibility. Like, you better understand that. But yeah, no, it certainly takes it for granted.
Right.
Whatever. The animation on the show
doesn't matter. It's just interesting to me.
No, I swear it's from the original cartoon, but I can't find any hardcore. Like, I'm looking right now at like a whole article of the history of it.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, and I'm not getting anything. Like, because it is like Spider-Man paved the way for the famous Green Arrow and Green Lantern drug special. I don't. Just tell me who said it the wrong way.
what?
Like,
They're like, no.
so verdict on this: is anyone going to go back and watch the entirety of Spider-Man Unlimited?
Probably not.
Probably not. No.
All right. Well, I guess that's the end of
Even though I
that.
liked
We are absolutely Marvel and DC. My name is Benny. That is Dylan. That is Sal. And don't forget to join the Absolute Army by smashing that notification button, breaking your like button, and ripping your monitor out of the wall and hitting subscribe.
We're not
And
liable
also-
for that. by the way.
Yeah, no.
If you break something, that's on you.
And don't forget, with great power must also come great responsibility.
Never forget.
With a great subscribe must also come great click the bell.